Yo, what's up, guys?
Chris, what's going on?
How's it going?
Earlier this morning, it was like 13 degrees out, so should probably head your way. Either of you guys' way is probably considerably warmer than this.
I thought you were speaking in Celsius for a second, and I was like trying to do the math in my head. I was like, wait,
No.
wait. He's not Canadian.
I wish.
We're coming up
What
on
is-
80 degrees here, so I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, 13 Fahrenheit is negative 10.5 Celsius.
It's 60 right now here, but still early.
Yikes. Yeah, it's been terrible. But I got to play with my new snowblower, I guess. It wasn't fun, but
Y'all have snow?
we had like 4 to 6 inches of snow last Saturday, and then it snowed again like Monday or something. So it was like really wet, slushy snow. So I had bought a battery powered snowblower and was curious if the batteries were going to last at all, because I was like kind of skeptical. But that first wet snow, it didn't even do half the driveway and died. I couldn't tell if the batteries were close to being dead or if they had gotten low but overheated as well, because like the charger waited for them to cool down before it started charging them. So then Monday it was fluffy snow and it did the whole thing on half a charge, and I was like, oh, so maybe it was just the super wet icy snow that we had. But it's impressive that like the battery powered snowblowers can even do that these days. Their battery technology and electric motors have come a long ways.
I've never seen a snowblower in real life.
You never will. You never will need to.
So we have a new voice on the show. So for the purpose of my AI podcast editor, so me, Andrew Mason, saying this, we have a new voice on the show. And do we want to talk about that at all? Or are we just going to skip right into it?
Have you been on before, David? I can't remember.
I've never been on this podcast.
Really? Well, I feel,
Well, then,
I feel
yeah,
bad that we haven't invited you yet.
or give us a little intro for the people.
Here you are.
Hi, guys. My name is David Hill. I've been doing Ruby and Rails development since 2008 or 9. Stumbled into it completely on accident, which is a story we can tell later if we want. What else do you guys want to know? I typically think I'm an interesting person, so
I'm curious, since you set the bait, how did you stumble into it on accident?
Before we do that, I have an icebreaker question. And then we can get into the deep stuff.
all right, let's do the icebreaker first.
What's your?
Oh boy.
We need your favorite fast food restaurant and what show you're currently interested in.
And it needs to be doing burnouts in the Popeyes drive-thru.
There are right answers to the fast food question.
Well, so my answer is going to be the wrong answer because I'm currently avoiding fast food as much as I can. I've gained a little more weight than I want, and I'm trying to get rid of it. So I'm avoiding fast food at the moment.
But what if it? What would
We're
it
going
be?
to force you to pick something.
You're going to force me to pick something. Crap.
Anything with a drive-through.
Anything with a drive-through. Five Guys Burgers, probably.
Oh my god, this guy's rich. Sorry, I didn't realize that. My bad. Damn, I didn't know you had bread like that.
Yeah, it's
bro.
like pick and Shake Shack.
You didn't say I had to go with what's like reasonable in my
It's
budget. You
called
just said
Five
what's my
Guys
favorite.
because each of those guys like charges you, and then they accumulate your total at the end.
God, their prices are crazy.
It's good though. Don't get me wrong. It's really good.
That's the
but-
problem.
Ooh, there's cheaper like fine dining. All right. So then what's a show or a movie or something you've watched recently that you liked?
I was really nuts about Andor when season 2 was coming out. I still think about that one a lot just because I feel like somehow we're living in the Star Wars universe right now. I haven't been too into TV shows and movies lately. There's a new video game that I was playing called Dispatch that
I know all about that. I
was-
didn't play it. I watched people play it.
Oh, it's so much fun. And the story
good.
was so good. I fell in love with that one. I hope they get to do a season 2 because season 1 was so fun.
That was super cool. It was like an episodic release, which was super interesting for a game. It was like a narrative driven story.
Yeah. If you were familiar with any of the Telltale games from a few years back, I guess Telltale Studio went bankrupt, but a lot of the people from there created a new studio, and they're the people behind Dispatch. But yeah, the episodic release was really interesting, but it caused the fan reaction to the game wasn't what they expected in some places, because the people who tested the game never had to they didn't have to sit and wait a week to see what happened next. And so like these breaks in the story hit the audience differently than they expected because they didn't test it that way.
Yeah, which was weird because if anyone has looked at the game, they will know what I'm talking about. I'm a Blonde Blazer simp, dude. I swear to God. I will.
Blonde Blazer's the bomb.
She's great. And then I'm seeing like I saw it when it was kind of done basically, or like into the last few episodes. So I was like, why is everyone like Blonde Blazer seems like the clear choice here. But it was like 60 or 70% of people did not choose her. It was interesting.
Yeah, and that's part of, I think, the problem was the game and the story it's telling leans heavily towards the other female character in Visigal. And Blonde Blazer doesn't show up as much, even though I'm right there with you. Blonde Blazer was my ride or die.
Yeah, dude, for sure. Yeah. Would die for her. All right. Now you can answer Chris's question if you still remember it about how you got into programming.
Into programming, my dad was a programmer growing up, so I grew up with computers. I have a very vivid memory of my dad talking about how, like, as soon as they got the tax return back one year, we were going to get a computer, and he bought a Commodore Amiga, which was really cool for like a year until I realized any software or games or anything that I wanted to get were not available because nothing was being made for the Amiga anymore at that point. But yeah, I grew up around computers. When I went to college, I majored in computer science, did a lot of Java and PHP stuff. And then after I graduated, we moved to Kansas City, Missouri, because that's where my wife was from and she wanted to be close to her family. Got a job at a marketing advertising company in Kansas City to do Java work. And first day on the job, like literally walking in the door, they say, "Oh, yeah, we don't have anything for you to work on in Java. So we're still going to hire you. We're just going to put you on a different team. Go learn this thing called Ruby on Rails." So yeah, stopped by the bookstore on the way home and was like, ran down the shelf of programming books to find one that said Ruby on Rails on it. Picked the first one I found and was off to the races. Decided I liked Ruby a whole lot more than PHP and Java. So never looked back.
You mentioned Commodore. A YouTuber and some other people acquired Commodore recently, and they're like manufacturing new Commodore 64s now.
Wow, I had not heard that.
So if you really need your retro,
I do not.
The earliest thing we had was like a Magnavox DOS computer. My dad had like an Atari 400 or something, but I never had that. I think he recycled it or sold it or something before then. But I was always jealous of that era when Commodore 64s were really popular. I think it was like a special time. Didn't get to experience that, but looked like it was a lot of fun.
I don't think you missed much. It was great for a hot minute and then everything passed it by.
Yeah, it was the thing that made it affordable for so many people to have a computer at home and stuff. So
that's fair.
I think it was a special time though.
What happens when a developer decides to record his own podcast ad? Let's find out. I'm Adam from JudoScale, and at JudoScale, there's no marketing team, no salespeople, and no customer support. I mean, we do have customer support, but it's just us, the developers. That's why our support is top notch. Anyway, we're JudoScale. We're the autoscaler that actually works. We do it better than anyone else by tracking the right metrics and checking those metrics more frequently. And we wrap it all in a beautiful UI with powerful and intuitive controls. We work with hosting platforms like Heroku, Render, and Amazon ECS to gracefully handle your traffic spikes and backed up job queues. If you want that peace of mind and a much lower hosting bill, you should check us out. Visit judoscale.com/remote Ruby for your special gift as a remote Ruby listener. That's judoscale.com/remote Ruby.
So what kind of stuff were you doing in Rails back in the day then?
Oh man, I've worked through so many different industries and businesses. I've done some startups. We've done a couple of different healthcare ones. I'm currently working in advertising. It's just kind of run the gamut of here, there, and everywhere.
Nice. That's fun. What's your favorite project you've worked on then? Out of all those different industries?
It sounds really dumb and dry. Do you know what an AED is?
Oh, like a defibrillator?
External defibrillator.
Yeah. I was first aid and CPR certified, and I was certified to teach those courses too.
Okay. So my favorite application that I probably worked on was an AED management application, because like having an AED is great. And there's all kinds of studies apparently that show if you're able to give someone CPR or a cardiac shock within minutes of them having a cardiac event, their survival rate goes through the roof. 90% improvement type things versus waiting for the ambulance to show up. So like having one is great, but there's all kinds of laws and state regulations about if you have an AED on your premises, you need to be doing these things. You need to be checking it regularly. You need to make sure that the pads haven't expired, the battery's still good, that it's plugged in, that it works, that you can prove all of those things in case someone needs to use it and it doesn't work or the person dies anyways. So yeah, this application was basically you put in what your AED is, where it is, the expiration dates on the stuff, and the app takes care of like telling you, it's been a month since you checked it. You really need to go check it again. Your batteries are about to expire. You should order new ones. Because it was kind of a taking care of people adjacent industry, it was kind of cool. It was a small company. So for multiple years, I was the only developer in the company, which sucked for some reasons, but in other reasons, I really got to learn and grow and do new stuff because there was no one I could pawn anything off on.
I like that a lot, where it's like, yeah, you know what? There's nobody to go ask for help. You got to figure it out and do things the hard way, which like sometimes it was really painful because you're like just stuck at some point if you couldn't figure it out very easily. But these days now you can just ask for help on AI and whatever to really get unstuck.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Or, in the Discord for the Go Rails Discord or whatever. Before that job, I was very heavily weighted towards the back end and just doing Ruby code. And I wasn't comfortable on the front end almost at all. That job was when I really started being like, okay, I got to get comfortable on the front end because there's no one else who's going to do it for me.
I had similar experience of like back end just seemed much more fitting for me at least. And then at a certain point, you're like, actually, it's just not possible to do a full application without quite a bit of front end code to build,
for some reason,
whatever form. Oftentimes it was some form thing you're trying to make actually work smoothly. And it's like, yeah, you know what? The browser just simply does not offer the complete suite of form controls that you need for like a combo box or something. Like I literally cannot load every single user out of the database to assign this record to or whatever. So I'm going to have to use JavaScript here, and you're forced into it. But how do you feel about it now? Much more comfortable or still?
I have a lot of fun with it now. I'm grateful that the tools and utilities we have around it have also improved significantly over the years. Tailwind, I've talked to people like at Rails World, I think. There were a couple of people that I went to dinner with one night that were not Tailwind fans and just kind of bragged on it the whole time. Different people, different strokes and all of that, but I really like Tailwind. I find it really useful to just be like, I want to impact how a thing displays, and here's the utility to make it easy to do that.
Yeah. You just reminded me of, so for anybody that doesn't know, yesterday Fizzy was open sourced and released, Basecamp's new product, like a Kanban board. Rob Zolkos had posted a review of kind of like the CSS approaches that they've done in there, which are really cool. They have, when you do search, in the search results, they'll highlight the word that you searched and show you like where in the title or description or whatever it was mentioned. And they actually use a cool CSS trick where the word, like if you type help or something, the search results will have the word help circled, but it looks like a hand-drawn circle almost. And so the way that it works is they inject a span and they have div or something wrapping the word, the search term that you typed in. They insert the span that has a before and after pseudo element, and they're both like half circles. And they are set up so that the first one starts on the left side and ends up kind of 50% of the way. And it's like a certain size circle, but only kind of half of it, or like an ellipse almost. And the other one's similar, but it kind of is a little taller. So it looks like a hand-drawn little circling of the words. And he called that out. Rob called that out in his blog post here and was showing, how that works, along with a few other things in there that are pretty cool. And a few other things like the little loading spinner. It's like the 3 dots that bounce up and down. And they're just a simple keyframe animation in CSS. So he was kind of showing several of the techniques they use, like even for dialogues, the starting style feature of CSS now allows you to, because you're not allowed to like animate a display none to a display block, which is what happens with a dialogue opening. So there's this starting style CSS thing. And it just kind of shows you a bunch of the things that are vanilla CSS that you can use. You can use all this stuff in Tailwind too, but I think most people using Tailwind aren't taking the time to learn like what are your possibilities in plain vanilla CSS. And it reminds me a little bit of like the CoffeeScript days or something, where it's like you're learning this other layer of abstraction on top of JavaScript or whatever, like using jQuery, and you don't realize that browsers have come a long ways. A lot of the jQuery, like the simple selector stuff, is now query selectors built into the browser, and you can use that to do the same sort of query selection that you used to not be able to do before jQuery. And I thought it was a really good post that I recommend everybody read, that shows a bunch of those techniques that are like, yeah, you know what? Tailwind's awesome. I like Tailwind, but there's a whole crap load of stuff that's just built into the browser with basic CSS now that you can just take advantage of. And even if you were using Tailwind, you might end up doing something the hard way, like the old way of doing things, because you don't realize now there's clamping and color mixing and other stuff that you can just use in CSS to do really clean modern designs without a ton of like workarounds and crap that we used to be doing.
You said you might end up doing things the old way, and the image that passes through my head is that scene from Wayne's World where Garth has got the mechanical hand that he's gotten moving and he starts hammering it, and it's like, we fear change.
Production monitoring can be complicated. There are tons of tools and techniques, but you just want to know that your app is up and your users are happy. When your customers encounter a problem, you need clear, actionable intelligence, not walls of charts and reams of logs. That's why they built Honeybadger, the monitoring tool you've always wanted, a tool that's there when you need it and gets out of your way when you don't. With Honeybadger, you'll know when critical errors occur and which customers are affected. You'll be able to respond instantly when your systems go down and improve the health of your systems over time. Plus, you can fix problems before your customers can even report them. Honeybadger is the application health monitoring tool built for you, the developer who cares about a quality product and happy customers. Start monitoring today at honeybadger.io. It's free to get started and setup takes less than 5 minutes. Once again, that's www.honeybadger.io. It's funny, like, how easy you can get into learning some way that works to build stuff in software, and then like you just kind of get stuck using that.
Well, because eventually it changes so fast sometimes.
Right. And the browser stuff's a pain because it's like, well, Chrome added this, but Safari still hasn't, or whatever. And it's like, I'm not getting notifications every month of the new releases that this is now acceptable to be used across all browsers or the majority of browsers. And that to me is where I lose a little bit, which is why I like to follow Tailwind, because Adam and their team are always kind of like, okay, this is available now, use that. I'm like using them as kind of a proxy to like keep an eye on what's possible, because I'm not doing full-time front-end work. So I miss a lot of those new improvements and whatever. But yeah, that was my favorite little thing, the hand-drawn circle, because they always do something special like that in Basecamp designs, like some sort of hand-drawn thing. And I always wondered, are those just SVGs that they can resize and scale somehow. But in this case, it doesn't matter how wide this is. Yeah, we're just going to draw an ellipse and it'll do it itself. And I was like, this is sweet. So he has been doing other things too. It's like, have you looked at Fizzy at all? Either one of you?
I know what it is. I haven't looked at the code yet.
Yeah,
I played with it briefly, but I haven't looked at the code yet either.
I haven't dove in too much, but so one of the complaints when Writebook and Campfire came out were like, you can download the code, but you can't really see the entire Git history. They actually open source the entire thing for Fizzy. So you can go back through 1,300 commits and see them add Ruby LLM to do some AI stuff and then take it out later and explain why they did that and what they tried and what wasn't valuable enough to keep it in. And so it's really cool. It's basically the SaaS hosted version that they've got. Then it's open source with all the Git history, so you can learn how they think about solving these problems and trying ideas and refining them and stuff. And then it's open source, so you can deploy it yourself if you want as well. They basically shut down the once approach, which was the one-time purchase self-host script thing that they, would run on your server and install Campfire. I think that once Campfire probably broke even, but didn't justify like the amount of ongoing marketing that it would take because it is just a one-time purchase. Really, the people it appealed to were already developers who were comfortable buying a server and SSHing in to run this command and stuff. And your average marketer or whoever wasn't going to be able to or didn't want to do that. So I think it's interesting to see Fizzy as a SaaS, but also open source, like a GitLab, or there's a whole bunch of companies like that these days. So it's kind of like Once, but also for the people who can't maintain a server, paying Once wasn't that big of a deal. It's a reasonable $20 a month. But if you are capable of that, then you don't have to pay at all, which is kind of a nice similar vein to the goal of Once, I thought. Rob's got a couple other posts of like digging through the Git history, but also webhooks was another post he's got here, kind of explaining how those work and whatnot. Some good stuff. I poked around a little bit. Let's see, Basecamp/Fizzy on GitHub. There's some really awesome just stimulus controller examples and things in there that all this UI is interesting too, because it's like a horizontal sort of UI where you've got these Kanban columns, but they're like collapsible. And then the main feed can have thousands of cards in it or whatever. And so there's a bunch of cool turbo and stimulus and hotwire stuff in there to power that, which is worth looking into if anybody wants to dig into like, how does Basecamp actually use turbo to build stuff? And you can also see too, like Jorge, I know, is working on, like, if you drag and drop a card between columns right now, they did this simple implementation, which is like you move the card and it has a delay and uses a turbo refresh or something to like move the card after you've drug it. So the server is actually pushing the update, not optimistically. So Jorge is actually working on a PR to improve that so that when you drag and drop a card, it will just be there immediately. It won't have any delay. But if it fails to save or something, it'll get reset and moved back. So it's going to be cool to see that iteration because immediately people are like, oh, it's another Basecamp Rails project using Hotwire. So it's really slow and crappy because it's not using React or whatever on the front end. But I think it'll be a really good example of like, look how quickly you can build it without optimistic updates. But now we can progressively enhance it and add the optimistic updates and voila. Now when you have more time to once you figured out how to build the whole product and how you want it to work, now you can go back and put in the polish and make it feel even better. But you don't have to focus on that from day one. That doesn't have to be perfect. So I think it'll be really fun to watch that. And there's already like 15 open PRs right now, one issue. Just all these random people now are able to contribute to the code base too, since it's open source, which is unique too. It was like, as a business owner, they're getting Fizzy, the SaaS product, a whole bunch of improvements from the community for free, in quotes. They still got to do the work to like review the code and maintain it themselves and whatever, but they're getting suggestions and improvements and all this stuff from people who are excited about it and would like to contribute. So that'll benefit them because they'll get to run it in their own instance for free if they want to do that. But they can also probably, whenever they deploy this to the SaaS version on fizzy.do, I think is the domain, that's a win-win for everybody. It's pretty cool. So you guys will have to check it out and see what's in there that you find interesting, and we'll have to come back and talk about that or something. I don't know how many stimulus controllers are in here, but there's a lot. Reaction delete controller, reaction emoji controller, pagination controller, local time controller, magic link controller, local save controller, lightbox controller, knob controller. That was one I was interested in. There's like a little knob you can tune that like the cards will automatically sort of archive themselves if nobody interacts with them. So you could drop in an idea into the main like feed, and then if nobody picks it up, then it'll like put it in a not now column or whatever. But the little knob for it goes up to 11, of course. And I was curious like how they implemented the knob UI. That's not a typical control you see on the web very often.
I've always been fascinated with Campfire and Writebook too, is like going through the stimulus controllers to see how they're doing those things. Because yeah, a lot of that's really interesting to look at that I've never seen before.
And also the Rails models are interesting too. You go to fizzy.do/signup/new, which goes, of course, to the signups controller. But signup is a model, and it's actually an active model object that uses contextual validations. So it's not actually creating an active record object for sign up for SaaS. And it's a little wizard too. It asks for your email address and then your name, and then it creates an identity or whatever. So it's actually a little wizard kind of model that they built with active model. Have you ever used the context in a validation before?
I don't think so. It's not ringing any bells.
So if you say like user.valid ? You can actually pass in an argument that's the context, and you can say like whatever your step is for a wizard or something. So like step 1, that will actually allow you to run specific validations. So your validations can be set up to run within that certain context or whatever. So that's something that like I don't see talked about very often. And the only time I ever remember it was when I'm thinking about validations for wizards. And you can also pass in a context when you call save on a model. And so your validations can have an on option that you pass in. So you can say on step 1, validate that there is an email address. On step 2, validate that there's a username. And then maybe step 3 is like validating both of those just to double check or something. But yeah, that's like built into Active Record that I rarely see, and was a really good one that I noticed immediately poking around in their controllers and was like, yes, this is really cool. So highly encourage people to dive into the code here, because I think you'll probably learn a lot. They're also particularly good about sort of the naming of things. So it's like the sign up model. And it's like not sign up creating a user record or whatever. It's a sign up thing that orchestrates that and just shows some of those other approaches that may be less common that you would write yourself or whatever. So I love seeing these things in here. I remember too, I think David posted on Twitter, Marco ran Herb on there and immediately caught a bunch of ERB things and made a PR for it to clean those up. And I was like, yeah, that's so cool. Have you run Herb on your projects?
I have.
Is there one of you?
I'm a little frustrated with it right this second because I swear to God, it's auto formatting, even though I've told it not to.
It is. At least in VS Code, when I've been reading it or using it lately, it has been formatting it, and I had like turned it off or something, and I was like, what is happening here? So,
which would be fine if it was only running it on modifications, which is an option in VS Code. Although Ruby LSP doesn't support it, so maybe because of that, he also can't really support it. But that is an option in some of the other languages to only run the liner on modifications, which is super nice for things like Prettier and like a legacy file. But
that is cool. Yeah.
I do enjoy it. I really like the format. We've been fixing some of our files based on it. Haven't caught any crazy issues, but definitely like things here and there. It's like, oh yeah, well, that's dumb. Why are we doing that? Or mostly like kind of formatting things.
I've found missing closing tags a whole bunch of places that are like very subtle, because it would be like an extra long line and it would be at the very end of that, or an unordered list line item, just missing the closing LI. And there was an opening one on the next line, so the browser knew how to take care of it. So they were all kind of invisible mistakes on my end, but definitely has caught quite a few little things for myself.
Yeah, it's just nice to have kind of like a standard now. It's like, because now I'm like on all new views, like I'm going to use her formatting. And it's like over time, as we update things, we'll update those things as well. But I never want to like introduce a PR that's like, oh, by the way, and also because we should just do this anyway, I formatted this whole file. It's like, well, maybe that's not the best way to do it.
Yeah. Oh man, so many good things in here. The hotkeys stuff they use pretty commonly in the UI for Fizzy. Every little interaction can be a keyboard shortcut. That's some good code to look at too in there. I'll have to just do a deep dive on this or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to look into it more, but it's crunch time right now, dude. It's the end of the year. Like, I can't believe we're already in December. I don't want to hear that nonsense.
Dude.
This year's been gone, so.
I know, right? It's been wild.
And there's so much going on right now. It's like, I feel like I haven't breathed fully in a while.
You just got to have Claude work for you.
Fun fact, I told you before this call started, I was like, yeah, I spent like the last like 10, 15 minutes creating a plan for Claude so that while we were on this podcast, it could hopefully complete this PR for me. Happy to tell you, it got pretty damn close.
Hey,
I opened up the UI and I did the thing I wanted and it worked. And there's a few tweaks I need to make, but dude, it did most of it. So shout out to Claude for working for me while I'm here.
nice. They're going to hear that, and then you're not going to have a job. They're just going to be like, oh.
I think about that often. I'm like, what am I going to do?
Some boss at certain level is going to be like, you know what? If I take all the Slack messages from Andrew and I feed him into the AI, then I can know how he thinks. And then I can use that to run Claude for me.
They have not built a model complex enough to understand how I think. I swear to God. It took 15 minutes of me like giving it files and context and instructions to like even get to the point where it could start creating like the closest it could get to the code. So it didn't write the code for me. I basically wrote the code in pseudocode and then told it to just do the work.
I mean, we just got to train it so you don't even need to exist anymore. That's it.
Yeah. Ooh.
What would John Carmack do?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Where is Ja Rule? All right. Well, if we don't have anything else, we can bring this baby to the station. I'm getting hungry, honestly. You brought up Popeyes earlier. Now I'm like, ooh, you know what would be really banging right now?
And you still got too much tread on your tires.
Yeah, dude. I've got mostly new tires.
You got to burn some rubber off there.
Hey, man.
I can't think of anything else. Yeah, like you said, it's December already. It's been a blur.
I've got one thing I'd like to throw out if you don't mind.
Let's hear it.
The XO Ruby conferences that Jim Remzik was doing around the country earlier this year. So they're over for this year, but he's already got plans for, last I talked to him, 4 coming up in early 2026.
Oh,
and so
not announced yet?
I mean, he told me where they are. I don't know if he's going to be mad if I say something.
This is you're spoiling the announcement.
One of them is going to be in Kansas City in March.
Okay.
And so
sweet.
I wasn't able to go to any of them this year, but I want to go to at least a couple of them in 2026. I've heard nothing but good about them, and having just quick one-day conferences where you don't have to deal with like the hotel and the everything else like that would be a really kind of fun switch up from the multi-day conferences that I've usually gone to.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm excited because Kansas City is so close. I could even make a single day out of it. Like if I left early and whatever, that wouldn't be too far of a drive. It'd probably be a lot to squeeze into a single day. But if I need to, I totally can.
You need to. And one day at a hotel is still a whole lot easier to swing than the multi you normally do.
And if it's during the week or whatever, I can't remember when they were typically scheduled or not. I think one was on like a Saturday or something, if I remember right. But if it is a work day, it's nice to only have to take off a single day instead of the whole week or half the week or something. So it's much more compatible with businesses and having jobs, which is good.
I think he tended to schedule them always on a Saturday so that you weren't also after taking work off to go to this.
That was what I thought, but I couldn't remember. And I really like that because it's so much more accessible that way. Also, in March is the RBQ Conf, which is the very first one in Austin, Texas. But I don't think there's specific dates for it yet. There is the CFP Open and sponsorships. So if anybody wants to submit a talk or sponsor that conference, it's rbqconf.com. So shout out for that. I'll be curious to see what dates come out for both of those. We'll always use a good excuse to go down and have some Texas barbecue. So like, that's very tempting. But Kansas City also has very good barbecue.
Isn't that blasphemy since you live so close to Kansas City?
I just like barbecue. So as long as they don't overlap, this is just ideal March.
North Carolina barbecue is the best. Send tweet.
Was there Asheville or anything on XO Ruby's list of places?
The cities that he told me, we've got Louisville, Atlanta, Orlando, and Kansas City.
Ooh, Orlando. Louisville isn't.
Too bad it's not Miami. Damn.
Yeah.
Take me to Miami, baby.
You'll have to apologize to Jim if he wasn't ready to announce all these yet.
I'm not saying this is where it's going to happen. I'm just saying this is what he told me, and plans could change.
These are very accurate rumors.
But unverified. So,
right.
There you go. Disclaimer added. Lawsuit prevented. We're good.
Cool. Well, I'm excited that those sound like fun places. And I really like stuff's more spread out like that too. Louisville, Kansas City, places that in the past I've been to or around there for regional conferences way back in the day, 12 years ago. But it's kind of all dried up since then. So it's nice to have those opportunities back. So I'm excited. Maybe end up in Texas a couple times this year for Rails related things. Who knows?
Don't get me started.
And Vegas was officially announced. Is that right?
Yeah. It should be fun.
RubyConf.
Officially announced for RubyConf. Yep. That'll be
July 14th through the 16th. Oh, they updated the website finally.
Shout out all Southwestern conferences.
I had to laugh because they announced it and then the website was still like not updated at all. And I was like,
So it was still RubyConf 2024 since there wasn't one in 2025.
this is super confusing. Like, I would recommend updating that before you announce it.
Dude, I acquired almost over 50,000 miles just from Ruby conferences this year.
Wow.
Jeez.
I'm cooking.
That is a lot.
What I heard there is I need to go to more conferences.
Yeah, you for sure do.
I'm looking forward to going to stuff this year, but I'm also enjoying having a bit of a break from traveling. It was a lot. Doing several overseas trips
Yeah,
for conferences gets to be a lot. Unless you're Marco.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Grief. I don't know how he does.
He can sleep on planes, I'm pretty sure he said. I brought this up to him when I saw him in San Francisco. I was like, dude, I don't understand. And he kind of explained it to me, but not well enough. So I need to go check on my agent. I think he's going a rogue. So pretty soon, like, I'll get a bug and it'll shoot me up an ad. It'll be like, hey, have you thought about getting an exterminator in your area? Can't wait for that. All right. David, great to have you.
Okay.
Good to be here.
Yeah. Glad to have you. Probably have you on more often. So get comfortable.
You know, I got a pretty comfortable work situation. I can pop on whenever necessary.
A word?
Bet.
Anytime.
The invite at 3 a.m.
Within reason.
If you don't
I almost said 3 a.m. too. I'm glad our brains were both thinking the same time. I was like, so what about the 3 a.m. call?
Within reason.
Podcast is down. Emergency episode.
I will be asleep at 3 a.m.
I'm going to set up an automation or something that will message you at 3 a.m. and be like, hey, you ready? We're waiting for you in Zoom.
Turn on all the lights in the house. Start blaring Bonfire by Childish Gambino on the speakers. That's how I wake up in the morning.
At 3.
Yeah, at 3. Not 4. I'm not crazy.
Oh, you go to bed at 3 and then you...
Yeah, then I wake up at 4. Yeah.
That's right.
It's a lifestyle choice. All right.
Because Claude does all your work for you.
No, not
You're just free.
I'm not free at all. I'm free. Anyway, I'm about to be free though. Because peace.
Peace.